are you guys ready? So if you brought a like a yoga blanket, usually it's something we use in yin yoga. You don't have to have it, but if you have like a towel or blanket, it's just kind of nice to have because we hold poses longer, and it kind of takes some pressure off of our knees. But there's other methods we can do besides blanket, so it's not a big deal. But if you happen to remember Tuesdays, bring your blanket. If you want, we're just going to start in a seat, and if you have your blanket, you can sit kind of at the edge of it. And it's just kind of an option that helps you sit up a little bit straighter. Kind of might feel good for your back, but it's like an extra option if you like it. And we'll start out just kind of stretching out our shoulder area and our neck, because that's an area where we have a lot of tension. So let's go ahead and take the right hand, and we'll bring it behind our back, so kind of drawing that shoulder down and back. And then you can take the left hand on top of your head and bring the left ear down towards that shoulder, and just applying some gentle pressure, maybe lifting the chin up just a little bit. And from here, just start to lengthen your breath a little bit more. Taking one more deep breath here. And you can release your hand and both hands. Roll your head and neck around once or twice. And then we'll just set up for the other side. So just bringing the opposite arm behind, just drawing that shoulder down and back. And then we're going to kind of do that counter stretch with your neck. So you're kind of allowing this area to release. Maybe tilting that chin slightly, just a little bit up. Long, deep inhales through your nose. Long, deep exhales out through your nose. One more deep breath. Good, and then you can release your hands. Roll your head and neck either maybe side to side or around once or twice. And then you can just interlace your hands behind your back. Draw the shoulders down and back, just looking forward. So countering a lot of the forward hunching that we do during the day over our phones, computers, driving. Good, and then you can release your hands and just come to sitting up nice and tall, maybe relaxing your hands by your side on your knees, drawing your shoulders up and back, maybe once or twice. And start to really kind of just tune into your environment. Maybe taking a moment to notice the sounds. So out here in the marina, we have some birds behind us. Notice the feeling of the air, slightly cooler with the sun setting. And just embracing being outdoors or wherever you're at as part of your experience, as part of your practice today. And take a moment to just remind yourself of something you're grateful for before we start, or set an intention for class. Good, and then from here you can just kind of slowly open up your eyes And we're going to start with our first yin yoga pose. So we're going to start in a child's pose. And then we'll eventually add on to the child's pose. So if you have your blanket, you can use it, but you don't need it. We're going to take our knees apart wide, about the width of the mat. Sit back towards your heels, and then stretch the arms forward and relax your forehead down on the mat. So for this class, we hold each of the poses about 3 to 5 minutes. So depending on the pose, some poses we hold a little bit less. And while you're here in the pose, take a moment and just kind of notice where you're feeling the stretch in your body. So child's pose, you should feel it on your inner legs. Maybe a little bit, just a little bit of nice gentle stretch, your hips, maybe your shoulders. Should feel good for your back. And from here, we're just going to add a thread the needle variation to our child's pose, getting a little bit more to the shoulders. So you can lift your head and chest up, walk your hands back about halfway. And we'll start with our right hand. So bringing that hand underneath the left armpit, you're going to bring that right shoulder down. If it feels okay, you're going to bring the right side of the head down. If not, you can just bring the forehead down. Good. So for that left hand, you can keep it right where it is on the mat, or option to take it behind your lower back. So also kind of allowing that left shoulder to come down and back a little bit more. Settling back into the pose, coming back to your breath. And just embracing the stillness of the practice. One more deep breath here. And then you can take that left hand down, press it into the mat, and you're going to bring your shoulder back. We'll pause in the center. Just pausing through the center for a moment or two. And then you can set up for the other side. Walking the other arm across, bringing the left shoulder down, and then either the left cheek, the left side of the head down, or the forehead down. And then option to take the right hand behind your lower back. In Yin Yoga, we hold these poses longer in order to access the deeper tissues beyond just the muscles. So we're trying to stretch the tissues in the ligaments, the joints, and the bones in kind of a nice, gentle way by holding the poses longer and just kind of moving slowly through the poses. can take about 2 more deep breaths. And then you can take your right hand back down, press that hand into the mat, release your other hand. We'll just pause here for a moment, and then you can bring your knees together. We'll sit back in a counter stretch, either taking the counter stretch child's pose with your hands behind your back and your palms up, or you can just sit up tall, taking a counter stretch here if that feels more comfortable, but allowing the shoulders to relax and the inner legs to relax. And then you can make your way out of the pose. Right. So our next pose, we're going to come to standing. So it's one of the only standing yin yoga poses. You can make your way up to standing. And we're basically going to do a ragdoll forward fold. So your feet are going to be about hips distance apart. And then we'll just kind of fold forward. And you want to keep a nice bend in your knees. You want to let your arms hang there, or you could even grab the elbows if you wanted. Let your head and neck hang there. Maybe even shake your head yes and no, just to make sure it's just hanging there. It's really relaxed. You're just kind of dangling forward. Lifting up through the hips. You want to go a little bit deeper. And kind of bring your body weight a little bit forward, because we tend to sit back in the heels in this pose. And again, so just noticing where you feel the stretch. So this pose is really targeting the hamstring muscles in the back of our leg. And try to not tense those muscles up. Let them relax into the pose so that we can access the tissues beyond the muscles. Coming back to your breath. About 2 more deep breaths here. And then from here, our counter stretch is actually going to be the next pose. So just heel toe your feet out a little bit wider. We're setting up for yogi squat. So your feet are going to be about the width of the mat, feet facing at a diagonal outside the mat. And then you're going to lower your hips down and lift your chest up. So lengthen through your spine. All right, so our goal, and you can be up on your toes too if you need to be, that's fine. But our goal is to hold this about 2 minutes, so we don't hold it quite as long as the other poses. But if you need to come out at any point, you can always come into a child's pose or just take a little break and then come back in. About 3 more deep breaths. Good, and then from here you can bring your hands forward, lift your hips up, heel toe your feet closer together, just coming to a forward fold one more time. And then we're just going to slowly roll up. So let your hands hang there, your head, your shoulders, as you just take your time to make your way all the way up. And then once you're all the way up, you can just roll your shoulders back a few times. Good. And we'll just inhale, just a counter stretch. Reaching up nice and tall. You can interlace your hands, palms up towards the sky, just stretching nice and long. All right, yeah, and let's just stretch over, maybe over to one side, maybe over to the other side. Good. And then go ahead and release. Great. So we're going to make our way back down. We're going to come to a yogi toe stretch. So we're going to kind of be on our knees. If you want, you can put your blanket or towel on your knees as extra padding. Again, this is one that we don't hold quite as long. We'll try for between 1 and 2 minutes, which is a long time. So for the toe stretch, so you're sitting back on your heels, you're flexing your toes, and you're going to take your hands and then physically spread out the toes. So try to like space them out, and we want to get space them out. And there's the moon. I see where you guys are all taking pictures of. It's so pretty. Right? The sky is such a pretty color. The colors of the sky are so pretty, the pinks and blues and everything. We're like, no one's listening. I haven't started the clock yet. We still have like 1 to 2 minutes. Darn. All right, so you can kind of control the pose by sitting back or sitting kind of upright, which is kind of actually sitting back on your heels, or coming a little bit forward for less pressure, or if you need a break, just kind of coming out and then coming back in. Just start the clock. Yeah. All right, so this is really good for our feet. It's something we don't think about to do very often. But it's really good because we're on our feet all day. We're walking, a lot of different things. So taking the time to just kind of stretch and strengthen the toes, help prevent injury. Let's go ahead while we're here. Just kind of open up the arms. Good. And then you can give yourself a hug, kind of squeeze the shoulders together in the front and maybe coming into eagle arms pose. So crossing, bringing the hands together for a breath or two here. And then remember which arm's on the top, which arm's on the bottom. So we're going to switch. So inhale, open up. And then exhale, we're going to switch. Opposite arm on top, opposite arm on the bottom, coming into our eagle pose on the side. And then open up. Just one or two more deep breaths. Good. And then you can release. So our counter stretch, you can just patter the tops of your feet down. And we're going to stretch out the ankles, which is going to also be our counter stretch. So you can let your feet lie flat. And then we're going to lift the knees up, bring your hands behind you. Putting more, if you want to put more pressure on the ankles, you lift it up higher. Just going to hold it here for about a minute or so. Less pressure, you can come forward. About two more deep breaths. Good. And then you can come forward. We'll just come onto our hands and knees and do a few rounds of cat-cow. Just stretching out our spine. So hands under your shoulders, spreading out the fingers, knees under your hips. On your inhales, you'll drop your belly, lift your tailbone and look up. And then on your exhales, round your back, round your shoulders, chin to chest. So just flowing through with your own breath between these two movements for a few rounds. And we'll do one more round of cat-cow. Good. So from here, we're going to set up for a dragon pose or low lunge. So for this one, you're basically going to have your right foot forward to start with. So you'll want to put, if your mat's not very thick, you'll want an extra blanket. Or if you don't have a blanket, the yoga mat trick is you're just going to double up your mat by just folding it here. And then you can in the middle, and then you can place your back knee on the mat. Right foot forward. Even if you need to do that halfway through the pose, you can do that if your knee's starting to bother you. All right, so you want to go ahead and check that your front knee's on top of your ankle, whichever one looks good. Make sure that knee's not coming forward. And then make sure you have a nice space between your front heel, your back knee. Everyone looks good there too. And then you don't have to keep your fingertips down here if it's kind of hard to reach. You can, make your way up here anytime during the pose and maybe spend part of the pose with your back upright, kind of staying here. The target area for the pose is the hips, the legs, and the inside of the other leg. So if it feels better to be more upright, that's fine. here, we're going to come to a half splits variation. So you're going to walk your hands back and work towards straightening that front leg. So it's okay if you have a bend in that knee, but we're just working towards making it straighter. Hands come back a little bit more, holding forward towards that front knee to kind of feel the stretch a little bit more in your hamstring muscle. About 2 more deep breaths. And then you can make your way forward. Take your time to make your way out of the pose. Maybe just stretching out the leg and the back. And before we come to the other side, we'll just take a child's pose. So you can either keep the knees together or apart, whichever variation you want, and hands can either be forward or behind. And then when you're ready, you can make your way up, and we'll just set up for the other side. All right, so just kind of checking in on the other side. Check your setup. Make sure the knee is over the ankle. See if that back knee can go back a little further, or that you have a nice distance between the heel and the knee. And then just kind of noticing how this side feels compared to the other side. Either keeping your fingertips down beside your feet, or at any point kind of make your way up. Maybe give your back a little bit of a rest, give your wrists a little bit of a rest. But feeling that nice stretch in your legs. take your time to walk your hands back. Work towards straightening that front leg or just keeping a little bend in the knee if that feels better. And folding forward towards that front knee. And taking about 2 more deep breaths. And then you can make your way slowly, maybe come forward and make your way out of the pose. And then just stretch that leg out long behind you. Good. And then coming into another child's pose as a counter stretch before we move on to our next pose. All right, good. Then you can make your way back up. And you can kind of set your blankets to the side if you have your blankets. And our next pose is going to be a pigeon pose for our hips. So whenever you're ready, we're going to come into a downward facing dog. Just to kind of set up for the pose. So making your way into a downward facing dog and just kind of stretching it out a little bit, maybe heel toeing the feet. And then coming to a 3-legged down dog, reach your right leg up. Stretch it out. And then we're going to bring our right knee behind our right wrist, right foot over to the left side. Setting up for our pigeon pose. Take your back knee back. Good. And we'll just start in an upright pigeon. So take a nice deep inhale, lengthen through your spine, lifting up. Do another breath up here. And then you can make your way down to a resting pigeon. Maybe coming onto your forearms. And you can stay on your forearms, or you can even stretch the arms out long, bringing your forehead down, or just finding a position that's comfortable. Allowing your body to just release and relax. Softening the muscles in your face. About 3 more deep breaths. And then take your time to make your way up. So lifting your head up, walking your hands back. Just moving nice and slow, and then coming to an upright pigeon again. Finish your pose. And then when you're ready, take your time to make your way out. Coming into either downward facing dog to stretch it out, or you can just come onto your hands and knees, stretching the leg out from there, maybe doing a few hip circles. And then we'll set up for the other side. So coming back into a downward facing dog, 3-legged down dog, left leg reaches up, just stretching it out. And then you can bring the left knee behind the left wrist, left foot over to the right side, back knee back. Lengthening through your spine to start with. About 2 or 3 breaths. And an upright pigeon. And take your time when you're ready to make your way down to a resting pigeon. Maybe noticing how this side feels compared to the other side. Consciously allow not only your hip to relax, but allow your body to try to release into the pose. And taking about 2 more deep breaths. And take your time to walk your hands back. We'll come to an upright pigeon for a few more breaths before we come out. And then take your time to make your way out of the pose, either coming onto your hands and knees or coming into a downward facing dog, maybe doing a few hip circles. And we'll just come to a seat. Maybe grab a drink of water if you brought some water. I have some spray. Oh, is it? Yeah.
That's nice.
So if you want, it's like a homemade. I didn't make it, but someone else.
I was
Does anyone else want insect spray? It's because the wind is getting really light. All right, and then we're gonna set it for a seated twist. Oh, did you bring some too?
Yeah. I'm carrying that.
Good.
Jack me.
All right, so we'll bring our left knee in towards your chest so you can cross that. So just a basic seated twist. We're only going to hold it for about a minute. And then we're going to take the opposite arm, so whatever knee's on top, take that opposite arm. And you can either wrap the elbow around the knee or just bring it above the knee. And then left hand behind your back to help you kind of sit up straight. So kind of using it to prop you up, looking over your shoulder. Okay. The twisting is really good for our back and for our spine. It should be kind of like a nice release. And then just about one more deep breath here. And then come through to the center, untwist your leg, and we'll just switch sides. So bringing that other knee in and then crossing it over. Opposite arm to opposite leg. Twist, looking over the other shoulder. Getting a little bit of a neck stretch by looking behind you. One more deep breath here. And then you can come back through to the center. Just kind of shake your legs out. All right, and we're going to finish on our back. So we're going to use the block or a supported back bend. So you can take your block with you as you make your way down to your back. And if you are watching live stream, I didn't tell you to have a block. So you can do as an alternative pose, or if anyone wants to do as an alternative pose for the back, Sphinx pose. Right, so both are stretches for our back. All right, so we're gonna set up with our knees bent, heels in towards us. We're gonna lift the hips up, having the block at the medium height. You're gonna place it underneath your sacrum. So it's not on your glutes, it's not on your lower back. Kind of that spot in between. So that's our supported bridge pose, just like a bridge. We have the support of the block because we're gonna hold it a little bit longer. So you can allow your palms to open up to the side. And just really, this also helps open up our chest, allows our shoulders to relax down as well. Yes. You should be relaxed on the block. And then about one more deep breath here. And then you can lift your hips up. Just move the block over to the side. We're going to stretch it out long. So straightening your legs, reaching your arms up overhead, and just taking a nice long stretch from your fingers down to your toes. And then go ahead and grab your elbows above your head, making a frame. But your elbows are relaxed on the mat behind your head. We're going to come into banana pose. So you're going to walk both feet over to the right side, bring your left ankle on top of your right ankle, and then you're going to kind of just inch your head and your shoulders and your upper body over to the right side. So if you think of a banana shape, that's what we're doing with our body. Our hips are staying in place, and our legs are slightly going to the right, and our upper body slightly going to the right. So you're getting a nice stretch along the whole left side of your body and the left obliques. And then from here, you can uncross your legs, walk your legs back through to the center, upper body back through to the center, and we'll come to the banana pose on the other side. So walking both feet over to the other side, to the left, crossing your right ankle on top of the left ankle, and then inching your upper body also to the left. And then you can walk your legs back through to the center, upper body back to the center. Stretch it out long again. Take one more stretch before Shavasana. So maybe coming to a happy baby pose or just kind of any other stretch that feels good. And then when you're ready, we'll make our way into Shavasana. So finding a comfortable position for the last 2 to 3 minutes of class. Yoga blanket's a good option to stay warm. But allow your feet to just kind of naturally open up out to the side. Allow just kind of get out any movement, any fidgeting, so that you can come to a place of stillness for the last few moments of class. You're just allowing your back to just lie flat. Allowing all the muscles in your body to just relax and let go. Allow yourself this time to not have to think about anything, not have to do anything, to just be exactly where you are, doing exactly what you're doing.
And then from here, take a nice deep inhale in through your nose. Complete exhale out through your mouth. And one more time, nice deep inhale. And complete exhale. And then maybe start to roll out your ankles, roll out your wrists, starting to bring some movement back to your body. Maybe stretch the arms up overhead. Bend your knees. Take your time to make your way up to a seat, maybe rolling over onto your side for 2 or 3 breaths. And then we'll finish by bringing our hands to our heart center. We'll take one more deep inhale, reaching out and up. And exhale to bring our hands back to our heart center. Just taking a moment to feel a sense of gratitude, sense of peacefulness. Thanking yourself for making the time for yourself to come out tonight, doing something good for your body, for your mind, and just allowing the positive energy that you feel from class to be a benefit to yourself and the people around you throughout the rest of the evening and throughout the day tomorrow. Namaste. All right. Great job, everyone. For the yoga blocks, you don't have to put them back on the shelves. You can put them just on like the counter on the back if you want. And yeah. Starting to get a little bit chilly partway through class.